Hey everyone. Okay, all right, we back. Let's see. Let's see if it'll kick on here in my view. Bring in one. You see us live, Juan?
Let me see. Boom, back to the page. Okay.
Nice.
Yep,
Okay,
we're
cool.
live.
All right, awesome. So I have absolutely no idea what's going on with that, guys. I apologize. My computer needed to be restarted, so please forgive me on that. We are live. All right, Juan. I'm not going to go back through the whole intro. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us and sticking through that entire atrocity. How unprofessional of me, and I apologize for it.
That's fine. It's part of life. This is what makes things exciting and organic, and we know we're
All
doing it
right,
right.
can you
We're
see
back.
us live then? You can see us on the thing? Perfect.
Yes, I'm looking here. I'm seeing you guys.
There we
We're here
go. I
live,
see
and
it.
we're
I
over
see it.
here
Cool.
live. So
Awesome.
we're
All right,
good.
Juan. So I want to kind of kick off the show here. Let me kind of get my marbles here in order. But I want to kick off with jumping directly into the "What Are You Smoking Tonight" part of the show, sponsored by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Thank you so much, Steve. What are you smoking tonight?
I am smoking a brand. It's easy to say I'm smoking protocol, but what I'm smoking tonight, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, is a cigar from a brand that I named. I had my first ever published article on Cigar Dojo, and it was called my top five boutique brands to watch in 2026. And this brand got number one, and it's called Domain by a gentleman named Daniel Lentz. And this is the cigar. This is the way it looks. I'm gonna try to get that. This is what I'm smoking right now. I'm smoking uh, the neurotherapy. I can never get these names. I commanded the English language.
Well, I am the audience here knows audio is poor, Matt. Matt. All right. I don't know what the heck is going on. This is
Let me hear. Let me see. If I'm gonna.
yeah. Go ahead. Matt, is it my audio that's poor?
Hold on.
Audience here knows audio is poor, Matt.
No, it sounds good. I'm watching it
Okay,
live. It
cool,
sounds okay.
awesome. Sorry about that. Let's see the kiss.
It says the cast isn't coming in well, and you can barely understand one. I'm gonna just take off my headset and see if that helps.
All right, you're on Facebook. My audio is great. You said, Matt. So Juan, we can't hear you at all now. We can't hear you at all, Juan. Mm-mm.
Try that.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
All right, there you go.
All right, is that better, everyone? Coop, Matt.
Oh, audio's good. One sounds completely garbled.
Let's see.
It's Juan's audio. Ryan's is perfect. It's Coop. I took off my headset. It should be good now. Let's see. William, how do I sound? Somebody give me a thumbs up if I sound okay.
I think it's. I think we're probably good now because Matt says yes.
How's my sound? How is my sound.
I think you're probably coming across good now.
Let's see. Let me hear it. I'm gonna put it up on my end just so I can hear it too.
So I think we're probably good now. Matt says yes.
How's my sound? How is my sound?
I think you're probably coming across good now.
I'm sounding garbled.
Yeah.
Here too. I don't know why.
Jump out, jump back in, see if we could reset it.
Put it up on my end.
It'll just jump you right back in. All right, everyone. Again, I appreciate you bearing with me. Coop, it's embarrassing to have somebody like Coop watching the show and having all these problems. I apologize, guys. However, I am looking so forward to TGS next week. I get to see Coop, I get to see Juan, I get to see a lot of you guys that are going too. So if you're going to TGS, let me know, drop in the comments. And what cigars are you guys all smoking tonight? See, Juan's gonna come back through. He's gonna jump back in here. I just gotta say again, I'm sorry for this. I don't understand. Although I am happy this sound is not on my side, but it's still frustrating and annoying as all hell to begin with. So, but it's nobody's fault. Let's bring you in, Juan. There we go. Now everything's running good. Now my computer's running the way it should be. All right, Juan. We can't hear you. You gotta. Yeah, I got no audio out of you. You got to select the right audio. Oh, there we go. Perfect. I got you now.
Testing.
That sounds
testing.
That sounds good to me. Hopefully everybody else it sounds good too. Coop, Matt.
I bet you know. It's okay. We'll start. Let's see.
You got to select the right audio.
Testing.
There we go. Perfect. I got you now.
Testing.
That sounds good to me. Hopefully everybody else it sounds good. Put your headphones back on. Try. I don't understand because he's you're coming across perfect for me. This is very annoying.
I got the headphones plugged in. Let's see. Testing.
Yep, I can hear you.
Fine. Let's see how it sounds when I hear on this. Yeah. Let's see what they're saying.
All right.
Testing.
That's. I mean, you sound much better for me.
Testing. Let's see what these people say. Let me see. Right here. So now there's a little lag. So this is where we came on. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3.
It sounds like you're still a little garbled.
I don't understand.
I don't either because I hear you perfectly coming through crystal clear on my end. They said it's slightly better, so we'll move forward with it. I don't.
We'll go with it.
I don't understand. I apologize about that. All right. I'm gonna be switching some stuff up here in the next month or so, because I'm getting a little annoyed by some of these technical issues that I appear to have that I shouldn't. So,
all right,
we'll move forward. But
we'll just kind of go with it.
Are you?
And I agree with Coop. It's not embarrassing. These things happen, and that's how it is. And
I'm gonna be switching stuff up. Are you? I'm hearing you. Are you muting the show?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the volume down. We're just gonna go with it, however it is at this point. It is what it is.
Absolutely. So Juan, jumping straight in here, I am smoking the crime scene unit. Now, this was, I feel, your best cigar that you've put out. I actually fell in love with this cigar. I texted you when I bought the box that I was super excited to try it, and then I texted you again after I tried it that it was amazing. Tell everybody about this cigar. What makes this cigar special? Kind of before we get into the smoke in protocol deal.
All right, so I'm gonna talk to you guys about. Hopefully, you guys can hear me not too bad, but this project. Somebody wrote "still gargled." Let me see something. I'm gonna try one last thing because now I moved the mic to the on the thing here. Let's see if it works. All right, so I got the mic and it seems to be working. Is the air microphone's working good? The speaker. All right, we're gonna go with this. All right. So the crime scene unit. When we first launched in 2014, I wanted to do a Connecticut broadleaf cigar. And I was told that I would never get it, and you're not going to be able to get it. And so we went with the first Protocol Blue. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm 10 years in the market, and I'm like, I got to come out with the Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper is absolutely delicious. I love that leaf. It is one of my favorite leaves anywhere in the world. I just love that cigar. So I go to Eric and I go to the powers that be. Somebody put now I sound good. Okay, it took a minute.
Perfect.
Sorry, guys. Anyway, so I go to Eric and I'm like, I want to do a Connecticut broadleaf cigar, and he's like, no, you can't get it. You're too small. So basically, the way it works, people, is I don't know if you guys know this. Connecticut broadleaf is one of the hardest leaves to get in the industry. It's grown in the Connecticut River Valley. Drew Estate is probably the number one buyer of Connecticut broadleaf. They buy actually they buy they buy whole entire productions years in advance. So they might have the next crops for the next 10 years already tied up. And so that's how it is. Then you got guys like Steve Saka that buy it. Then you got guys like Nick Balillo. Then you got guys like AJ Fernandez, everybody else. Fuente buys a lot for their añeos. In case you didn't know, the Fuente añeos are done with Connecticut broadleaf. It's great. It's a great leaf. So by the time a company my size comes to the table, I'm lucky to get the shavings off the floor, the remnants where they held the tobacco, if I'm even lucky. So I'm being told, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. And I went through a few venues to try to get it. And I was told all of them was, no, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. So I was like, it is what it is. But I was like, I didn't want to just take that, again, 10 years in the business. So I actually went to AJ Fernandez, and I know he buys Connecticut broadleaf also. So I asked him, hey, do me a favor. Can you sell me enough to make about 3,000 cigars? And he was like, yeah, no problem. So he sold me. I got it. I was able to do that cigar. It has a Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper, a Mexican San Andres Maduro binder, and Nicaraguan fillers. And I was in love with that cigar. That was the cigar I originally wanted to release, but it took me 10 years to do it. I guess like they say in Hollywood, better late than never, kind of like the show and the audio. But we're here now. The audio's good, people saying, and the cigar is good. The cigar is here.
No complaints on this cigar. No complaints at all. Which and Coop's not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Coop, if you're still watching, I would figure this is pretty punchy for what I think Coop is normally Coop's warehouse, right? Or wheelhouse. So that says a lot, but dude, the color on this thing is just like beautiful, and it's a gorgeous wrapper. It burns great. The retro's really nice. that's the one thing I've always loved about Protocol is you guys never shy away from adding in that horsepower, but you add it in like all the right ways, and you don't add it in to where it's just too much, if that makes sense, you
Right.
know. Um, so as you're going
Right.
through and kind of putting this one
Absolutely.
together, did you know or have any previous knowledge that Abe was gonna just buy all the boxes? Because, um, I mean,
No. So I'll tell you exactly. I'll tell you exactly how it happened. So originally, I was supposedly we bought enough for 3,000 cigars. That equals 300 10-count boxes, because all of Protocol's cigars are 10-count boxes. So we buy enough to do. The idea was, something, we're gonna get this. We would love to do it full production, but right now, we don't know what tomorrow could bring. Hopefully, we get more. But right now, we got this in our hands, so we got enough for 3,000. Come a few months later, productions get shipped to Espinosa's warehouse. I go see, we only got 140. I think it was 150 boxes. It was half the amount. So I'm like, Eric, what happened to the other 150 boxes? He goes, well, and I'm like, listen, I'm just happy to get. It is what it is. When it comes to things in this business, I really stopped trying to control, because there's so much, especially when you're small, boutique, micro boutique. Like I would put Protocol as a micro boutique blend company. It's hard to control anything because it's a humongous ocean. Imagine in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, over the Mariana Trench, or whatever, wherever the Mariana Trench is. It's probably not in the Atlantic Ocean anyway. But I'm a little guppy. I'm about this big, and this ocean full of megalodon sharks and giant squids and krakens and stuff. So I'm just going with the waves. So when he said it was only 140 boxes, I was like, hey, it is what it is. I'm happy and grateful that we got that. So I put together a very heartfelt press release, because this was a cigar I worked on. I had a few samples. It kind of shows that with companies, if you are able to, create a buzz for your brand, for your new releases. And I started, the minute I got sampled, I started posting on my social media. I finally got the cigar, my magnum opus, as they say. This is my the best creation, the most phenomenal cigar I've ever created. So I started posting pictures. It created a buzz. I wasn't doing anything. It wasn't formulated. That wasn't something I did. It was organic. It was just me being me. I like to create buzzes for my brands and stuff. So I started posting pictures, and I created a buzz. People were watching it. Couldn't wait for it to come out. Then I get the 140 boxes. I gave you the story. I only had 100 originally, 140 out of 150. It is what it is. And I put out a press release, and I said, okay, press release is gone. Let's see what happens. Let's see which of my retailers reaches out to me. So Abe was one of the first. Smoking was one of the first companies that reached out to me. And he said, Juan, how many cigars are you gonna put a restriction on how many cigars you could buy? I'm like, nah, if you want to buy 20, 30 boxes, it's okay. I'll let you buy whatever you want, whatever. He goes, I want the whole thing. I was like, you want the whole thing? All 150? He was like, yeah. I was like, I don't see the problem. So I went to go talk to my partner. He was like, yeah, let's do it if he wants it. It's easier that way. So he bought all 140. They wound up selling out in like 6 hours. And I think he was taken aback by it, because he was like, wow, these guys still got it. They've kind of been dormant for a while. We have been. This product had been in the pipeline for a good solid 2 years. And it was just like a blend would come out, and we can't get the wrapper anymore, Juan. Then we have to tweak it. Now we do this, and like, oh, this blend's now not available. This component of the blend. So finally, I was just like, I stood my ground. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna get my own Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper. Thank you, AJ. I know if he's watching, or I've told him 100 times. Thank you from the bottom of my heart selling me that amount. So we sold it, goes to market, sells out. Abe calls me up. He goes, Juan, you better go to AJ and tell him that you want that other 150 boxes, and I want that too. So I'm like, yeah, he's probably going to tell me no. He goes, do it. So I call up AJ. I'm like, AJ, listen, I don't know what happened. Originally, it was supposed to be 300 boxes. I only got 150. He goes, brother, don't worry about it. I got you. So he sold me some more. We do 150. Abe gets those two. And what I think happened was that Abe saw that we were still, again, we had been dormant for a while, and it really showed that the brand sold out and there was still a buzz about it. But just with a lot of small boutique brands, like some of the main issues with boutique brands is distribution, is the resources to get this kind of stuff. And it becomes difficult sometimes. And I guess he had the idea. He was like, you know something, and we were already kind of like something. There was another company that was talking about buying us, and Abe was like, that kind of fell through. And Abe was like, I'm gonna take a chance on you guys. I'm gonna buy the intellectual properties of Protocol, and we were like, sure, God, let's go see what happens. And that took about 6 months to do, and then one day, boom, time goes on, and next, boom, it happens, and all the paperwork is signed, and the ink is dry, and now Abe owns the intellectual property of Protocol and every cigar under Protocol lineup. The other partner, Kevin, he left. He's got a full-time job, and to keep the soul, the DNA of Protocol, Abe asked me to stay on as a brand ambassador, and he said he also wants me to have creative input on future blends and how everything goes, and that's where we're at today.
Well, I mean, congratulations to you guys for that, because I don't think you could have had a better partner. But I also know, because I'm not on Facebook a whole lot anymore. Just kind of got some stuff going on and just doing some other things. But when I noticed that, it was all the buzz in Smoking Social. And, you've done what I think some other brand owners that kind of haven't put out a lot in the last couple of years don't do. And that's stay in front of the people. I mean, you joined Dojo.
Right.
Love the guys over at Dojo. You joined them. So now you're always in the limelight. You're also always promoting. You always keep yourself front and center. And those of us that have gone on this journey of Protocol Cigars with you over the last several years, trust how you blend. We trust to keep it exactly in line with what we expect, right? You're not a 20-year-old rocker putting out a new cigar or a new CD, and all of a sudden your whole sound changes. This is very much in line with the other cigars. It's just got a different flavor profile. It's, in my opinion, probably your punchier of the cigars that you make. The thing burns slow as hell. I mean, this thing takes a while to go through. So when Abe approached you for this, were you at a point in time where you actually wanted to sell? Like, was this? I know everybody gets approached by businesses all the time. Hey, let me buy you out. Let me buy you out. But oftentimes it's like, no, I don't want to be bought out. Like, were you at that point before dollars and cents were talked?
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about actually me, how life is. For me, I was a cop for 20 years. I am now retired, and there's a reason why the average life expectancy of a cop is about 59 years old. We put our body through the ringer for a solid 20, and I worked in a busy area. And I was in
Port
New York,
Authority,
New Jersey, Newark. Yeah, the Port Authority, NYPD for 4 years. So I worked in a very busy area. And over the course of 20 years, I've gotten things, there's been things that's happened to me. And, you're not the same. I'm old. I'm 52 years old. I tell people all the time, I'm 52. I might look 52, but I got the body of an 80-year-old. So being on the road was hard for me. And it's something I didn't want to do anymore. It's just like, this is a young man's game. This whole thing is, like a guy like Daniel Lance. I was showing you guys the cigar that I smoked over here. This is the one I'm smoking by that's a young man's game, to be hitting the road and to be doing this. And I'm like old. So I was already kind of getting checked out on that. And to be honest with you, my real talent, and it's often important to know your talents, what you're good at. Because when you know what you're good at, you can work those talents. Like, I'm really good at the end consumer engagement. Because I am. This wasn't a business per se. This was a cigar nerd that had an opportunity to come out with his own cigar. I am 100% a cigar nerd. I love cigars. I love the culture. I love everything about it. And then organically, we wound up creating a brand. And, the marketing was, we looked inward. It was me and Bill Ives at the time. Bill Ives and I, we were both cops. So we made it police officer themed, police officer ranch. The whole thing was all cop themed, Leo, first responders. And I did a great job at connecting with the end consumer. You guys watching the show, I did so many podcasts, shows.
You've been with Dojo since like the beginning.
Cooper, you guys. I was actually one of the first 100 members on Dojo before even I had a brand. I was just a super fan of what they were doing, that whole structure of what they were doing. And that was my strength, the engagement, that part of it. The part where I was bad was really the business aspect, distribution, talking to retailers. That was the part that I lacked in, and a lot of times you have to be good at both, or if not, have somebody on the team that's good at talking to retailers. So when this was going on, the brand was starting to go dormant. We had the last release was the Phoebe Cousins. She was the first female U.S. Marshal out of St. Louis, and she was also the first female U.S. attorney. So when we did the whole entire Lawman series, we always try to do things where we honor, people, honor, not celebrities. What am I looking for? Figureheads in law enforcement, historical figures in law enforcement. So we got, the first one was Sir Robert Peel. The second one was Elliot Ness. The next one after that was the Bass Reeves. Then we had the female. So that was our last release, and it came out, boom, sold out fast. That Bass Reeves, we get it, and it just sells out. And the thing is, when you're a small micro boutique brand like Protocol, supply and demand is everything. Because if you have too much supply and no demand, now you're sitting on capital. If you have too much demand and no supply, now we had the problem, which was it was hard for us to equalize and balance that. Because you have to have a good supply and demand balance. You have to know. And then when you have so much, what's the word I'm looking for? When you have limited funds, because we're not a big money company. We're just, two guys having fun doing what we're doing what we love. And, you release what you think you need. And because you don't want to sit on it, you overbuy and you sit on some stuff, and next that's tying up your capital. So we would buy what we thought we needed, it would sell out, we put an order in right away, and then that would create gaps. So there was always distribution, availability issues for the fans, and it was to the point where it was just difficult. And if we weren't doing it right, at one point we were totally thinking about just closing down and kind of like
really
just whatever, let it go. There was some talks about it, but then I got on with Abe at Kiss My. I was on Kiss My Ash Talk Radio for a few months, and getting up Saturdays was just it was tough on me and whatnot. But I'm a baby, I'm not a morning person. I'm a night person, so it was tough, and we decided to, I left there, and then Dojo picked me up, and I started doing with them. I've been on with them now, going on almost a year, and I'm their co-host on their Friday night show, the Smoke Night Live, and I was like, something, now that I'm here, I don't know what's going on with Protocol, but I really want to use my spotlight where I'm at. I want to use this platform to spotlight boutique brands. So I started the Boutique of the Week, where I saw you posted something, you reposted something because you had Espanola, got the guy from Espanola on.
Well, they're a partner in the show.
Had the cigar.
They're a show partner.
Yeah, that's That's what I, yeah. They joined us on Dojo as well. Great company. My God, I until I started looking for brands to have on my boutique of the week, I came across Espanola, and I'm like, wow, these guys. I never heard of them. I don't know why I never heard of them. I had a conversation with Anton, and I was saying one day, like, it's crazy how I never really saw you. But it was crazy. Yeah, McKay was saying the audio's still choppy. It is what it is for today. This is what we have to deal with. Hopefully, I'll fix it by tomorrow. But anyway, so we had him on, and the cigars are great. And as I was doing that, I would still do stuff with protocol, and then somebody was talking to us about buying us as well. And then that kind of fell through. And that's when Abe was like, I'll do it. And I think it's going to be really good. I think the best is yet to come for protocol, because now when you look at the what's happening, I built this, we, us, whatever, but for 10 years, this brand grew organically, driven by community storytelling, unique branding, and the acquisition, really represents the next chapter of the brand rather than its end. Like Kevin was like, on one of his posts, he wrote something like, "It was a nice ride." To me, it's like the ride's not over. It's just beginning. I'm staying on as brand ambassador. Like I said, I'm going to have creative input so that the DNA of protocol remains intact. It remains what it is supposed to be. And I think the brand's going to go, further. What I think because the acquisition was going to happen is, Smoke Inn has a phenomenal distribution, a retail footprint, resources to take protocol to the next level. Again, that's why I say the best is yet to come. And all this is going to happen without compromising the identity, the DNA of protocol itself. And I'm looking forward to see, what happens.
So what so is protocol going to stay a national brand then? Is it gonna be absorbed into smoking only? Like, how is that relationship gonna play?
So as of right now, Abe and I, since the deal happened, we haven't even gotten a chance to sit down and like hash out a game plan. And the reason for that is because of Great Smoke
for
coming
sure,
up next
for
week.
sure.
So he is all hands on deck, laser focused on the Great Smoke. He has no time to talk about anything. So, but from what I am seeing, I'm thinking it's just going to be a brand that now just is available at Smoke Inn exclusive. That's been just the right now. We haven't talked long term goals yet to see if it's something that's going to be distributed. But listen, William Cooper said it on one of the shows. I understood that this move would probably piss off a lot of brick and mortars because I was always very brick and mortar focused with protocol. I remember so I lived 2 miles from Famous Smoke Shop in Easton, PA. That was my home base. I was always there. I, hung out there. I knew all the workers. When the press release came out that we were going to come out with a cigar, I remember one of the buyers coming up to me and say, "Hey, that's great. I want to buy your whole production run." And we were like, I appreciate it. It sounds good on paper, but I really got to build this brand organically. I'm going to go, focus on brick and mortar first for maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years. Once we're established good enough with the brick and mortar people, then we're going to try to see what we're going to do with the online guys. And that's exactly how it wound up happening. We wound up solid 2 years, 3 years. We were only exclusive at brick and mortar shops. And then eventually, maybe year 3, year 4, we opened up to Smoke Inn and Famous and Atlantic and, Cigar International. That's when we started going into those guys because we wanted to maintain the integrity of the brick and mortar. But as we grew and time went by, I guess we could argue that we never truly invested in the company in the sense to build a sales force, because as you grow, your expansion grows. And to service that is expansion, you have to have boots on the ground. You have to have sales force. You have to have people. If not me traveling the world, the entire state. And I started getting again tired of traveling, and then also internally, the company wasn't covering my expenses. It was not my decision, but I was like, why am I going out of my pocket and I'm not paying myself? I'm not doing nothing. Why am I going to go? The first year that I retired in 2019, I went January to December. I was probably gone, I want to say 8 months out of the year. I was on the road. And it was all coming out of my pocket. So then my wife at the time says, how much money are they covering you on this? And I was like, no, they don't want to. It's like, so how much are you? I don't know, a few $1,000s. He goes, I think it's a lot more than that. I want you to go check. So I checked. It was like $18,000 that I spent out of my money. I was like, nah, if these guys don't want me traveling, if we're not going to do this right, I'm not going to go out of my pocket.
For sure.
So, and that's when I went to management, which was at the time Bill and Kevin. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And they're like, well, we're not going to pay. He's like, all right. And then again, it was so much. We didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't have the finance to do this right. I think had we had that, the brand would have grown maybe exponentially more than what it did. But I think the benefits of getting with Smoke Inn, now, let's talk about now. That was the past. And it is just amazing because let's talk about the benefits.
Hold on. Real quick. I wanted to touch on something. We'll come back to benefits for the consumer, but I wanted to touch on something that you brought up. You differentiated brick and mortar as different than Smokin'. Smokin's got several brick and mortars. So can you kind of define to everybody your definition of brick and mortar? Because you had said stage 2 was adding an Abe, and I would consider that brick and mortar just because he legitimately has one. Like Cigar Page, I would consider a non brick and mortar. There's several others, but so can you define brick and mortar?
So yeah, so and from my understanding of things, and maybe this is my opinion, my philosophy. Let's go with my philosophy, all right? So nobody can get upset. This is my philosophy and the whole structure. You got true brick and mortar. A true brick and mortar is a literal shop, a store, a tobacconist that has little to zero online presence. Majority have little. All they are is their shop, and they
community supported area, only.
Their radio.
Community supported only.
Community supported brick and mortar. That's a brick and mortar of a traditional standpoint. Then you got guys that are brick and mortar and online guys. For example, we'll take Abe. Abe has 11 locations, but he also has this humongous online presence. So he's a hybrid. And then you got the guys like Cigar Page you mentioned that have zero brick and mortar, zero location, and they're all online. So you got those three issues, and a lot of them bleed into each other. All that bleeding, that soup, that mix makes the cigar industry, the retail part of the cigar industry. And that doesn't include gas stations, liquor stores. We're talking about just strictly bona fide tobacconist brick and mortars. So you got the brick and mortar that has zero internet, zero online presence. You have the guys that are hybrids like Abe that have brick and mortar and internet. Then you have the guys that are all internet. So to me, if you have, I'm going to use one shop. They're no longer around. They were called Caravan Cigar Company in Bath, Pennsylvania. Very small boutique brand company. It started off as a brick and mortar, and he opened up a webpage that basically reflected his inventory. He didn't have a warehouse. He did everything out of the shop. Now, can you say that guy is at the same level as Abe with smokin.com and all the smoking locations? No, there are different levels, right? So we were small boutique guys. So in the beginning, phase 1 of protocol, we wanted to build our footprint in the industry through those fellow small boutique brick and mortars with zero internet capacity, zero online presence. And then eventually, as this was 10 years ago, so as things started happening, especially after COVID, more brick and mortar shops started to have online presence, and now it's all kind of like amalgamated together. There's almost no clear. It's very diluted now. Everything's like really just one big gray color. But back then, it was very brick and mortar, hybrid, and online retailer. So in the beginning, we decided to just start up with just the traditional small brick and mortar guys. And that's why we didn't go to technically Famous is like probably the number two online cigar retailer. And they have a location. They have a beautiful location, Famous Smoke Shop, but they're humongous. So we wanted to keep it.
No, and that makes sense. That's why I'm glad you explained that kind of how you defined brick and mortar through that expansion. So let's jump into the benefits.
All right, so there are, there are several benefits to me. I'm gonna start with me. Now I don't have to be on the road anymore. I can do my cigar dojo show, do my boutique of the week, and then also still work on protocol. I could create content to protocol, but now instead of telling you go to our website and find out where's your local brick and mortar, I could just tell everybody go right to Smoke In. So now it's just easy. I'm gonna sit home where I don't have to be putting my body through the ringer, and I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna create content. I'm gonna push and steer people. The same fans that I'm going to talk about in a second, they follow me and have become fans of protocol. Now they can go to one easy place. Everything is going to be they're going to be more availability, the distribution part. So somebody who's in Walla Walla, Washington, doesn't have to worry about where they're going to get. They want to try the crime scene unit, they can get it. And I think so. The fans are going to see, more availability, which is what we want. They want more availability. So whatever it is, their favorite protocol lines. And remember, I was telling you about like supply and demand, that we were terrible at trying to balance that. There were times when, yeah, protocols was at the stores, but then you would get 4, 5, 6 months where our fans could not find protocol cigars.
Hold on. I want to say that wasn't all your fault. Supply gritty of it, because you and I have actually spoken about this. That wasn't all your fault. There was issues going on at the manufacturers that you were working with, that there were shortages. So I don't want you to take all of that, supply on yourself, because that's.
I agree. I agree. I do agree. There's, as an industry, everybody, even if AJ Fernandez had problems, imagine what us.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
But in a perfect world, had we bought more and stored it, and then we would be able to ride out, what do they call it? What's the terminology came out? Supply chain
issues,
all that stuff. Supply chain. If we had enough in storage, and we weren't doing good enough, it was difficult. It's very difficult for a small company, a micro boutique like Protocol was, to regulate that supply and chain and the supply chain issues as well. And it was, again, there was months where our fans, I would get DMs and guys will be like, when is the next probable cause coming out? I don't have any more. So what happened is guys started hoarding, smoking slowly, and which is great because I'm a collector myself. But now with this new setup, with us being at Smoke In, people can now go and anytime they want, they could get what they want when they want it there.
And that's a huge benefit. And quite frankly, I still have now, Juan, you were the very first person in my life that ever sent me a box of cigars, that ever bought me a box of cigars. And I actually still have two, or I still have at least one from the box that you sent me, which was the Elliot Ness Natural.
Ah,
You
okay.
sent me. You were kind enough when I first kicked off the show, and the first time I had you on, you were kind enough to send me a box of those. I still kept the box too. Um,
Let's talk about that for a second. That to me is, listen, I didn't read. There wasn't a handbook on how to do this when I was coming up. Nobody took me under their wings. I did things what I thought was the right way to do them. And one of the things that I thought were the right way to do things were, as a brand, you have all this cigar media out there. You had cigar media. And I don't know where it's gotten lost in translation, but cigar media, like the industry now thinks that you guys are supposed to buy your own cigars to do ratings with. Like, to me, it's like, you guys, this is, time is money. Bottom line is, time is money, right? You, I'm sure, have your own, a full-time
mhm,
job. You do this out of passion, out of love,
absolutely.
and you want to do something that's some great contribution to the cigar industry. So you, like many others in your size, want to be an outlet, a media outlet for the industry. And if the industry does not support you, back you, and really get behind you, how are you going to survive?
Mhm.
Do you expect you, as to to go out and buy a box of every brand that's out there? And I've seen threads and people mention craziness about this review. Did they buy it? Did they get it for free?
That's
What do
ridiculous.
you mean did they get it for free? This is part of the business. This is
It's
part of
you
doing
didn't get it for
business.
free.
Me
You did the
sending,
review. That's the payment.
yes, but it's part of
It
doing
is.
business. This is the way the business needs to be. I I am I've taken a few boutique brands under my wings, and just guiding them a little bit. Just listen, send out press releases to this list of online media. Send out boxes of, I get you. Listen, right now we probably have a lot of them, but I have a list of about 12 very, focused, I don't want to say bona fide cigar media, but you know, there's so much. There's guys out there in the garage sitting, they got a iPhone, and imagine if you were gonna send out your small company, you're gonna send out to everybody. No, but so I try to tell guys, send out to at least 10 of these online media guys. Send them cigars, send them press releases. This is just the cost of doing business. You can't expect a guy like you. Let's say there's 300 viable brands on the market right now. Can you expect Ryan Miller to go buy 300 boxes so he could do reviews? No, it's not the way it's
No, it's
done.
not.
It's not the way it's done. Nor should never have gone that way. And I think now, like, I don't know if you've heard people always, there's always chatter like, did you buy those
It
boxes
doesn't.
or give
Yeah,
them? Who cares?
first off, I'm very happy to be on that list. By the way, and I know Danny Ravanelli of 505 is very happy to be on that list. That's a huge fucking honor for this show to be considered on that list of people you feel is legit enough to reach out to. So huge honor. I just want to start there and say that. Um, I stopped doing reviews. They get really expensive. You typically
Yes.
smoke 3 cigars per review, or at least 2. And if you have a bad experience with 2, you're wanting to smoke that third one just to give that opinion. And I've never, and I don't even think I've ever even asked you for anything. I've always been kind of the, if you want to send it, that's great, and that's awesome.
But that's something you shouldn't have to ask for. The industry should understand that's the way it's done. That's the way it should be. That should be the industry standard. If you're coming on, I get it. Listen, you're small, you're coming on, you can't send to everybody. So send to 5 guys. But there are guys that are not sending to nobody. They're not sending to nobody. They're not sending press releases out. They're not doing what I think. Again, there is no rule book, playbook. There's no guide to none of this.
It's
But
true.
there's guys that are, out there not doing what they should be doing, and I'm trying to help guys
All
do
right,
it.
hey, Juan, can you do me a favor, brother? Do you have an
Yeah.
empty cigar box in your possession, protocol?
Yes, at home. Not I'm on the road right now. But
Can
yes,
you
I
do
do.
me a favor? The only thing that
Yeah.
Tony ever asks for on this show is an empty cigar box signed for his office lounge wall. Can we make that happen for him?
Yep. You're gonna send me this gentleman. What's
Yeah,
his name?
Tony.
Tony.
I've got his.
All right, Tony. This is what's gonna happen. Ryan's gonna send me your information. I'm gonna mail you the box signed. I just give me his full
I
name
will.
so I could dedicate the box to him when I sign it.
Absolutely. So, Tony, reach out to me. Make sure I have your address. I'm almost positive I do, but make sure, send me it, and we'll get Juan. Give Juan, he's going to be at TGS next week, Tony. So, give Juan a couple of weeks to get this accomplished for you. But he'll send you out a box signed for your wall. Anytime I have somebody that he hasn't seen on come on, he always just asks for a signed empty box. And I always try to make that happen for him.
Be my pleasure. My pleasure.
So, well, I agree with you. And my thing is like, whenever anybody comes on the show that's new, they're always super kind. Hey, let me send you over some stuff. And I always say you don't have to, but they do. I no longer do reviews. When I did, I would get some stuff said, but at the same time, I do this show just because I fucking love cigars and I love having you guys on. I love being able to say Juan Cancel is a friend of mine. By the way, Juan's cell phone number is in the bottom of the description so everybody can be a friend of Juan's now. No, I'm just kidding. So, but no, in all seriousness, bro, you've been one of the guys right from the beginning that has supported this show. You were, I think, in my first year of even the show existing coming on, and you've been on every year since, at least once. So,
Right.
I appreciate your support, and and it means a lot that I'm considered on a
I
list.
I think I think that so what I'm probably gonna say might not sound too popular, but cigar media is the backbone of this industry, and it doesn't get the respect and recognition that it deserves. Think about it this way: because of this country anti-tobacco laws,
Mhm.
tobacco companies fall under cigar companies fall under the tobacco with the cigarettes, where you can't advertise anywhere. Winston, the whole thing from I remember with the Winston man, the Parliament, or you cannot advertise tobacco at all, right? You cannot open up Time Life magazine. You can't put on HBO or YouTube or whoever it is, ABC, and get a commercial. Those things we don't. The industry is not afforded that luxury of
It's not.
advertising, and advertising is very important in any industry. It is the backbone. That's what, because we are a product driven industry that sells to consumers. How do consumers know about this product if we cannot advertising? Sales, commerce, and advertising go hand in hand, yin and yang. They are one and the same. You need powerful consumers, powerful commerce, and powerful
Mhm.
advertising. Those are the three parts of it: the buyer, the producer, and the advertising, to let the buyers know that that
Mhm.
exists. And in this industry, we don't have that because we cannot. All you have is cigar related media, which is the periodicals like Cigar Aficionado that cost $100,000 a page in
And
one
by the way,
issue
he's
to
not
get your.
exaggerating when he says a double trunk, which, by the way, for those of you that don't know, a single trunk is a full page, a double trunk is a double page. And when he says full page, he's talking about a 2-page layout. So when you open it, it's a full spread. That is probably anywhere from $80 to $100,000 a year just to have a double page
So
advertisement.
when you guys pick up Cigar Aficionado and you see the entire both panels, the both pages is one image of one company. That company spent $100,000 to
Mhm.
get that image into that magazine.
Mhm.
That's that kind of money is only afforded to a very limited amount of brands in this industry. And for you, and that's just one issue. There's 6 other issues coming out. So if you're going to have a company that's going to do every issue, and some, if you look, there are some companies that have several full
two-page spread, two-page
whatever
spread.
2-page spreads and one. So for each, they're paying $100,000. So imagine your company paying between $600,000 and $1 million in advertising just for this one magazine alone. And the reality of it is it's only available to a limited amount of companies, maybe 10% of the industry. The other 90% cannot afford that. I know I cannot afford that. So you know what you're going to do? You can't afford Cigar Aficionado, but what you can afford is guys like Rocky Mountain Cigar Show. You can afford Cigar Dojo. You can afford Half Wheel. You could do everybody if cigar companies were to really look at the importance of online cigar media and the future. They are the future because more and more you see people, they don't pick who's reading a book nowadays.
Yeah, CA is gone after 10 years.
Listen to me, CA. I used to get CA at my house for $80 a year. That's how much the yearly price was to subscribe to them. Now you get the same magazine for $10 a year. $10 a year. That means you get 6 issues in your house.
That means their advertisement went up.
Something's happening. That tells something happened. Something happened there. And not only that, I remember that cigar back in the day being this thick. Now it's like the Reader's Digest book. And you only see it at brick and mortars. And nobody, you go into any brick and mortars, nobody reading cigar. It's sitting on the coffee table. What guys are doing, they're on their phones. They're on Google.
They're on Dojo.
So the online media is the future.
It is.
And once companies see this, you can go and advertise with the top 10 online media guys, and you still have money left over from that one full-page spread, the 2-page spread on a Cigar Aficionado. And you're going to get more traction, more viewers, more. Now, I will give Cigar Aficionado this. Their list is the only list that moves the needle, and it's really the #1 spot. That's the only thing that they have going for them.
I have a problem. Now, CA paved the way for all of us, right? This show, this show is not news. I tell everybody, if you want news, go to Coop, go to Cigar Show Tim, go to Dojo, go to I Tap That Cigar Show Media. I'm not news. I bring you on to bring a reality to who you are as a person and get to know you to make sure that everybody understands your story behind the brand. One of the things that's been so much fun with this show is the fact that I've been able to bring on people like you, and you're incredibly honest when it comes to this stuff. So I'm very curious about this. I am not a huge fan of, I was, but I'm no longer a big fan of cigar lists. Now, I watch the Dojo list, I watch the Coop list, but I don't watch necessarily the CA list. I do look at the Half Wheel. Those don't dictate what I smoke personally. 2-part question to you. Do you think it's disingenuous for the CA list to put Cubans on? And part 2 to that question is, do you think lists are built more for newer to novice or even intermediate smokers than they are to people that smoke 2, 3, 4 a day?
This is a very complicated, very deep and complicated question. It sounds simple on the face, but the reality of this question is there's so many different components of this question that we could have a 3-hour show just on this. But I'm going to try my best to kind of answer that question in a very small kind of way. A list. I'm going to take Cigar Aficionado's list. That is the list that's really for more of a almost non-cigar nerd person. That is your average cigar smoker that's not in the same category as Ryan Miller, Juan Cancel, and some other
Okay. So you think the CA is more of a intermediate style list? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that is a list. I'm going to give
Interesting.
you an example. When I was 10 years ago, the Cigars International, I don't know why I keep saying cigar, the CA list, I'm just say Cigar Aficionado list, when it would come out, I know it's coming out, they'll put on in portions. Every morning was Christmas morning. I'd wake up, I'd pick up my phone, and it was the first thing I read. Oh my God, let's see who came out. And there was talk about it. And then as I don't know what happened over the course of the last few years, I think lists in general have really just, they've lost their power, their luster, their interest. It's become something a little bit different now, but it comes down to the point where I'll see. Oh my God, the whole list 1 to 25 came out last week. Let me see who's there. I went from being Christmas every morning when they would release their things in phases, cigars aficionado, to being where I would not pay attention over the course of a few years. That is a list. It's the only list that, yes, does move the needle. People will, a guy who's not a cigar nerd, who's not educated, who doesn't know what he's doing, he'll open up that list and go into a cigar shop and say, give me the first 5. I want to try these, which is the purpose of a list anyway. But more and more so, I think lists are going into where it's just kind of seeing like for a cigar nerd. I still look at everybody's list, but I want to just see to get a gauge of what the media is talking about. It's not the only thing, because ultimately you can have a cigar that you love and makes no list. Does that devalue your opinion on your favorite cigar? No, it doesn't. But what it does, it kind of just gives you a nice bird's eye view of how the industry look like, what's going on what's current collective cigar media focusing, what are they talking about. It's just another level of educating yourself. And if you want to be an educated consumer, you're going to see, and maybe if you see a particular cigar get on enough lists, you might say, hey, I'm going to try that cigar. I'm going to try. But the consumer that I am, and the consumers that I am focused on and I'm trying to reach, are the guys that no matter what any list says, they're going to smoke what they smoke.
Sure.
They're going to go after what they smoke of. And what's more important to me than a list is actually the reviews. I remember once upon a time, a Cigar Press never had numbers on their lists. It was just a beautiful breakdown of flavor notes, all this stuff, everything, the components of the notes and the flavor notes, and you read that and you wouldn't get and to me, I would tell 4, because I had his number on, man, out of all I know you probably get a lot of numbers work for advertising. I get it. But when you're talking about from a cigar nerd's perspective, I'd rather not have any number and you just vomit all your flavor information, everything, the chocolate notes, the wood, the pencil, the certain, minerals, whatever it is you're getting, meat, leather, cocoa, earth, cream, cedar, nuts, roasted nuts, spice. That's what I want to hear, because as a cigar nerd, I know what I like. There are a few key notes I want to hear. I want to hear chocolate. I want to hear leather. I want to hear earth. And I start reading enough reviews without even looking at the number. Okay, it has everything. Check. I'm gonna try it. So for me, a review is more important than the cigar list. But again, I think the lists do have a place in this industry for the landscape of this industry. They are a needed part of when you look at a backyard, the landscape, right? Is your entire landscape just that set of roses that are right there, or is it everything collectively? The rocks, the stone, the plants, the water feature, the lighting, the ornament, is everything together is what makes it beautiful. So I feel it's the same thing with this industry. Is everything together is what makes it beautiful. There is not one component that is the star. It's everything together. Everything is equally important, but together they make this beautiful thing. Now, going back to the Cigar Aficionado list, my 2 biggest issues with that list, as you mentioned one of them. The first one is, why in the world are you putting a cigar that came out 7 years ago on your best cigar of the year list? Every list there should be some sort of standard that for every list that comes out. I know Coop, everybody has a little bit of a sway, but I want the cigar to have come out at least a year and a half ago. I want it to be fairly new. Why? I love Opus X. It is one of my favorite cigars. Calito killed Opus X. That is just one of the most beautiful cigars in this industry. But should an Opus X that came out in 1990 be on a cigar list in 2025 top 25 cigar list? Should be a Opus X from 98? No, that's totally wrong. That's wrong. Take that out. My second pet peeve with their list is their Cubans. Why are you putting in 3 or 4 Cubans on a list, taking up 3 or 4 spots from an American company that are sitting here? First of all, it's like selling which is the best drugs on the market: cocaine, heroin. It's illegal. Cuban cigars, people. Tap, 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 tap. Let me see. How to do that, right? Cuban cigars are illegal. Why are they on an American top 25 list? It makes 0 sense to me. If you want to do that, come out with another list. Your top 5 Cuban cigars and a sidebar. They are a side note, a footnote in history. They're made until Cuba opens up, and in the American market, you can get a Cuban cigar for legally. This should not even be in the discussion. All this industry talking about Cuban cigars and all this stuff about Cuba. Listen, we're talking about an illegal product. You cannot buy Cuban cigars in America. Why are we talking about it? If you're still in Canada, granted, go talk about Cubans over there. In America, we should not be talking about Cubans because it's like saying cocaine. Oh, listen, I had a great line of cocaine. I bought it at LA. I know it came from Colombia by the Fernandez drug cartels. It had sweet aromatic notes of get out of here. It's a legal product that we should not be talking about. Why are Cubans on the cigar aficionados list?
No, I have no idea, because I mean, even if you could buy Cubans, first off, even if you could, this is where I feel a lot of cigar smokers, or not cigar smokers, but a lot of people that want to get into cigars have the misconception. You don't have to spend $20, $30, $40 every time you smoke a cigar. You don't have to spend $8 every time you smoke a cigar. And I feel it's the whole Cuban thing where they're like, oh, those are $100. Oh, if I'm not smoking, I got to smoke a Cuban for my very first cigar. I feel like it's a misconception, because I've had a lot of really great people that I've absolutely trusted to give me Cubans, have offered them to me, and I've smoked them. I will tell everybody right now, the most expensive Cuban I smoked was a 2014 Special Edition Cohiba. It's a $100 cigar. I would never have paid $100 for it. I would have thought there is $10 cigars that were just as good, $15 cigars. So
I'd rather spend $100 on Steve Saka's Unicorn 10 times over than spend $100 on a Cuban, an illegal product.
Yeah, and I think companies like Cigar Aficionado that add Cubans keep that lure alive. I don't personally feel, on my palate, it's my opinion. It's probably gonna be very unpopular. I don't personally feel Cubans are worth what you spend on them. First off, if you go to Mexico and you get a Cuban with a glass sliding lid, it's not a fucking Cuban. Okay? Period. Hands down. Unless you're willing, and Juan, you would know this better than me, but unless you're willing to serialize the box that you get from specific factories, you're really running the risk of 20 to 40% unsmokable. So it's almost dishonest.
I want to add this to you to kind of piggyback off what you're saying exactly there. And to all the guys out there that smoke Cubans, this is kind of for you. I know each and every one of you have a guy.
and your guy gets legitimate Cubans because you know your guy gets the real ones. Let me tell you a little secret. The number one producers of counterfeit Cuban cigars are the Cubans. They work there. They sweep off the floor. They get the stuff that gets off the floor. They throw it out a window. There's a guy that catches it. They make technically, yes, it's a Cuban cigar. Yes, you're smoking a Cuban cigar that's made in somebody's bedroom.
Bathtub
Like
gin.
it's crazy. There is no listen, when you go buy a Cuban cigar, there is a 99.9. I don't care if your guy is Jesus. He's that Jesus, that guy. He's probably he is not probably. He's selling you a counterfeit Cuban cigar, and the problem with counterfeits is there no quality control. You open that, it's short fillers. There's mouse droppings in. There's paint chips. There's hair. There's snot. There's why do you want? And then people, I said, why are you smoking it? Well, it's still a cigar. No, it's garbage. You are smoking garbage. Why? Go buy an AJ Fernandez last call for $8, and it'll be better than any Cuban you'll ever smoke. And you can go buy that yourself. Like, I don't understand, and I will not back the Cuban until it's available here. That's once they open up trade, and I could go to Smoke Inn and buy a box Cuban cigar for an average price. No, I'm not gonna back it. I don't believe it. And all you guys out there that are smoking Cuban because your guy sells you legitimate stuff. Your guy's selling you, counterfeit Cuban.
And quite frankly, let's be also very honest here. Why do you been smoking cigars for a long time? I have no doubt that you've smoked countless amounts of real Cubans throughout your time. Just people in the industry giving them to you. The Cuban tobacco market, from what I've been told, and again, I'm not an expert, this is just what I've been told, is actually downgraded significantly from what it was because they don't care about their crop the way Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican, I mean, those are tried, true, cherished crops. And I've been told that the Cuban crop, that's why it's so important to determine the box you buy based on the serial number of the box to know what the factory it even comes from, because there's no guarantee of equality through it. So I agree with you. I don't think that there should be a list with a single Cuban on it. So now I want to kind of switch here to something that I'm really glad you're doing. Now, one of my all-time favorite boutique cigar guys, Danny Ravanelli, who you know very well, from 505. Um, let's talk about a little bit about what you're bringing to Dojo. I love the guys at Dojo. And by the way, Eric gave me one of the best pieces of advice when I first started the show. And I'll share it with you. I shared it when him and Jordan were on a couple years ago. And that was, don't ever forget you're doing the brand owner a favor, which goes to exactly what you said earlier. And that's something I've taken to heart. I love the guys at Dojo. So let's talk about what you're bringing to Dojo, because you've been there now, what, 6 months? About 7 months, somewhere like that?
May will officially.
May will be about a year.
The first, May will be a year. So you're looking at probably
8 months.
8 months.
So tell everybody,
right?
yeah.
Right?
So tell everybody about this boutique quarter, because I love this boutique quarter, but I want you to start first by, because there's no hard and true fast definition. I want you to start first by what's Juan's and Juan's alone definition of boutique cigar.
Okay. This is a very interesting subject. We actually had an episode on Cigar Dojo. It was called "What Makes a Boutique Cigar Brand." And you ask 100 different people, you'll probably get 100 different answers. I actually I would love to get an industry. Let me tell you something. This industry needs industry standards.
Yes, a definition.
There is no true industry standards. Maybe in the manufacturing side, in Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican Republic, there are industry standards that they follow. They do certain things. But as far as when it comes over here in America, I think there are no industry standards. Anybody can call themselves boutique. But for me, boutique is this, very simple. small company, small production runs, focusing on storytelling, brand building, and the unique blends, limited editions. And my kind of number that I like to throw out there, probably under about maybe, definitely under 1 million cigars. But I'm thinking about, then you have all these different, you got micro boutiques, sub boutiques, you got a, but if your company is doing over 1 million cigars a year, guess what? You're no longer boutique. You could have been boutique one day, but you're no longer boutique. Boutique is small. We are small production run. We are, if you have a CEO, a president, a vice president, a senior sales staff, a human resources, the more people you have working for your company, guess what? You're probably not boutique anymore. And that's just something, you got a company that's 1 or 2 guys, 3 guys, 10 guys, under maybe, I would even say, if I had to get an industry standard, we could get a real definition, maybe under 10 guys. Once you start getting under all these you're no longer boutique. You are, and hey, listen, kudos to you. You're no longer boutique. You are now a more of a mainstream, mid-sized, and then from there, you get the bigger guys like the Altadis. You know, they are the conglomerates, STG, General Cigars. These are the big guys. Then you got you guys like Eric Espanosa. They're about that medium-sized guys. And then you got small guys. You got guys like James Brown. Let's take Black Label Trading Company on the cusp of becoming no longer boutique. And it's become almost like a marketing tool instead of a definition. Boutique is a definition of a size of your company. It is not a marketing tool to say that you are Fuente and you make boutique cigars. You don't. You can make boutique minded, or your approach is boutique, but you're not boutique. Boutique are small companies, small productions, hands-on, very the principles are involved in it and everything. And to me, I think we need an industry standard.
I agree.
Again,
I agree.
Main thing is small production runs, not a lot of, and then you have these boutiques that are growing, and listen, there's nothing wrong with starting off boutique. Let's take right now Nick Melillo and Steve Saka. When they started 4 years ago, yes, they were 100% boutique. They came from a large company, Drew Estate, started their own stuff, they're boutique. After an X amount of years, you can look, I was in the game 10 years. Protocol is still, by my definition, boutique. Nick Melillo and Steve Saka, two of my favorite people in this industry. Their brands are no longer boutique category. They are now more of a mainstream, larger, maybe not large, but mid-size. Let's say I'll give them a mid-size cigar company. Make Eric Espanosa. I had a conversation with Junior. I said, "You guys consider yourself boutique?" He goes, "I don't know." At least he was real. I said, "You guys making over 1 million cigars a year?" Like, yeah, we are. So guess what? You're no longer boutique. You are now,
and that's not a bad thing. People feel that's a bad thing to lose that label.
Let's bring it back around. Now, no longer being boutique is not a bad thing. It's something that every boutique brand should strive to no longer be boutique.
Correct.
To be more of a medium-sized company. That's an
correct, because boutique is more on the, like, we're referring to boutique more as a company size, not mindset. And that is a difference. Correct. So talk to everybody about what it means to have a boutique mindset, even though you're in a bigger company.
So I think what they need to they should remove boutique to the level of market and maybe do more craft.
I like that. I like that.
You are a craft company. You're a mid-sized craft. And what craft means is you still have a boutique mind frame in the sense that you're doing larger production runs, but the level of your overview, you're looking at it, your process, you're going through every stage. It's not just this large mass-produced boom. You're making 1 million. Some companies make 100,000 sticks in a day. and that equals millions and millions of cigars a year. That's mass production. You can even be mass produced, but still say there's still people making it more craft oriented.
Correct.
Craftsmanship is your
Correct.
focus. You are doing things the traditional way, or even if it's a new way, but it's still more of a hands-on process. It's not mass produced. There's people out there checking every cigar, smoking everyone, whatever the number is. There's things you could do. I think that craft needs to be the new focus of the city.
I agree.
So boutique will stay for the small guys, and all the medium cigars, they could be their craft company.
So do you feel that you could have, because I've heard this too, do you feel you could have a boutique line in a big company?
Oh man, I know.
I know you've heard that. I know you've heard that before.
That's basically. I'm gonna take, and there's nothing wrong. I'm gonna take General Cigars when they had Foundry.
Yeah.
Is it Foundry? So they have General Cigars is a great company. They're beautiful. They are mainstream, beautiful, large company. They are amazing, making great cigars. But now, because this boutique has become such a marketing buzzword, they're coming out with a boutique line. If Coca-Cola came out with a Coca-Cola +1,
they did New Coke and it failed.
It's still part of the main company.
I agree.
So to me, I don't like it. Boutique, just do it. How about this? Craftsmanship. We're coming out with the craftsmanship series.
Yes.
But we're not doing it at the big salas, at the big production.
I love it.
We're taking it to a smaller company. We're now doing it. Maybe we're doing this one. It's still gonna be a million cigars, but James Brown from from Black Label Trading Company, he's doing this project for us. It's a craftsmanship focused. Blah blah. That's the right way
Correct.
to go. But
Correct.
to say you're a big conglomerate company and to say that you're doing a boutique series, it's not genuine. It's not authentic. It's not real. It's a marketing
It also
ploy.
makes the
And
word. It also makes the word moot to even say anymore, right? Because, and I love the fact that you brought up the idea of craft, right? Because craft says boutique like without saying it's boutique size, but it still says we care. Because I would put, I love Espanosa. It's literally always in my humidor. All right.
right.
I would agree with you. Espanosa, especially since the creation of Knuckle Sandwich, is no longer a boutique, but they sure as fuck are a craft cigar. They sure as hell are a cigar that bleeds their entire living being into that cigar before it's released. There's nothing that Espanosa puts out that's put out half-assed. And at least in my opinion, and again, my opinion alone, but you've worked with Espanosa. I mean, Espanosa makes some of the protocol stuff. And so you know as well as I do the craftsmanship that goes into it. I do.
And to kind of circle back around a little bit to the smoking acquisition, protocol will stay being made at La Zona and San Latano.
I can't wait to see
Fernandez. So that was one of the things that we made sure, because a lot of times when people buy the brand, they can do whatever they want with the brand, but Abe doesn't want to just buy this brand and just have another cigar. He wants protocol to be under his smoking umbrella, and he wants everything that made protocol, all that DNA. He wants it there to be intact. It's not like I just sold it and walked away, goodbye, and I'm gonna go 2 years later. I'm gonna create one's favorite picks or whatever. No, I'm staying on with protocol. I am their brand ambassador. I'm also have created. If he wanted to do, let's say if he wanted to take all production to, I don't know, to like Arganosa, right? He could if he wanted.
It would lose the heart of
but
it.
He's gonna lose. He would lose the heart, and what he wants is that fan base.
Yeah.
That I've created over the last, or we've created, or however you want to word it. If you want to do that, you want to continue getting those fans and building more fans off of those fans.
Yes, Vinny, he will be.
You maintain you're genuine to the DNA.
No, I agree. And
So,
yes,
kinda
Vinny,
cool.
Juan will be there for the entirety of TGS. So
Yes.
it's not going to be a short stay. So we'll get Juan every night. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I know you guys are not coop, right? So you guys do rumors. There's a rumor that there might be maybe some sort of protocol cigar at the TSG 27. Maybe,
Oh,
I don't know.
TGS,
I heard
TGS
little rumors.
27, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
27.
I'm a
Maybe,
buyer.
maybe,
I'm
maybe.
a buyer. Absolutely.
Maybe. We'll
So
see.
you were talking about, kind of the whole aspect of Abe not moving everything. Now, when it comes to you having like intellectual input into the brand, how much of protocol going forward is going to have your thumbprint on it?
All of
Okay.
it. All of it. So Abe, he could have easily just said, Juan, I'm buying the intellectual property. I want nothing to do with you. Have a nice day. Vaya con Dios. I got this. He didn't say that. He said, I'm going to do this because I want your fans to have the cigar more accessible to them. I can bring an infrastructure. I see what your brand has legs. Your
Absolutely.
brand, you've built something there. You just don't have the right business. And listen, he said it on one of the shows, Kevin Shahan's show. I don't have the business model. I am this. I am the creative flow. I am the creative energy. I am the creative spirit. I am the interacting with. Listen, there are a lot of guys that can't do this. What we're doing here right now, and I love Rocky Patel. He's a tough watch to see him on a show because he's Rocky Patel. Like not everybody, but meanwhile he is amazing. He's phenomenal. He's great, but not everybody has this. What we're doing here.
I agree.
I know this is a strength. I have a strength. I could sit. I could talk. I listen. Part of it was also. I was a cop for 20 years. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to talk your way out of a lot of issues, and it's given me the tools to be a very good. I'm a people person, so
That you
that's
are.
one of my strengths. My strength is also the creative process, and then the level of engagement that I do is and it's nothing that I picked up a playbook and read it. This is just what
You
came
feed off
natural
of
to me.
it. You feed off
So,
of it. I mean,
right.
let's be honest with you. If
Correct.
you weren't doing this, the fuck would you be doing? Like, you feed off of being in front of people. You feed off of promoting the brands you love. You feed off of the cigar industry. I mean, you are a cigar nut through and through. And one of the
Right.
first real times that I was introduced to you guys. So I came on later in the brand because I was a cigarette smoker and I smoked cigars throughout, but not to the level I do now, and not to the level I have over the last 5 years. But one of the first times that I got introduced to protocol cigars within the first probably 3 months was the release of the Taser. Maybe I'd been with you guys for about a year before that for Cybercrime's release. But the Taser was my first showcasing of what Smokin' and Protocol and Dojo did as a partnership. And I want to say, if I remember correctly, that fucker sold out in about an hour and a half.
I want to say it was 90 minutes.
So I was to say it's about an hour and a half. And I think that was
Yeah.
that was definitely your fastest sellout. Even through Omerta, that was your fastest sellout was 90 minutes through Smokin'. So like the Smokin' community has 110% supported protocol throughout. And
Yes.
so it makes a lot of sense to me that Abe wants to acquire a brand that his community, and I'll say it, and I don't know if you agree with me, but that the smoking community helped
ahead.
build. I mean,
Yes.
legitimately, your releases were gone like that. I mean,
Mhm.
the only reason why the cigars and smoking for the crime scene unit sold out what they did is the smoking community, because Abe released that first. You released that first within the smoking community.
Right.
So like so much of Abe's world that he's created has benefited your brand. So it makes sense that it falls within that. Cause I know you were in other shops, but I also know the fan base that's been created within Smoking Social on Facebook for Protocol was huge. I mean, would you agree with
Right.
that?
100%.
And so it's kind of like you have was almost 6,000 members within Smoking Social. By the way, if you're not part of Smoking Social and watching this, the fuck are you waiting for?
Join it.
Jump on Facebook, join in Smoking Social, and just tell them you saw us on the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show, and you'll get right in. But so much of your success in your marketing that I've seen has been within the smoking community. I mean, is that a fair statement?
It is, absolutely.
So when you see Abe wanting to buy it, you said you had somebody else wanting to buy it. Do you take that into consideration, or is it the dollar for Protocol taken into consideration? Does that make sense what I'm asking? Is it? Yeah.
Yes, it does. So nothing we've done has been for the dollar because we are not business people. I am terrible at business. So let's say if Cigar Page offered me $1 million, I'd probably take the $1 million. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not dumb either, but I wouldn't feel like, oh, like the brand's dead, you know. But going to somebody like Abe and the relationship that I have with the smoking community, the relationship I had with Abe, it's gonna I definitely feel that the brand's gonna be in good hands. You know, let's talk about the future of Protocol on.
Let's do it.
The future of smoking. Well, listen, the brand's not going
No.
away. It's evolving. Listen, expect new releases, deeper retail penetration within the smoking infrastructure, stronger marketing support. The vision really is to honor the past while building the future. That we're going to build this future together. There's going to be new releases. There's going to be, there's going to be collaborations with people that I might have not been able to do collaborations.
See, I love
before.
that.
We're going to have so much fun with this thing. That's why I tell people, listen, the ride is not over. Strap in your seatbelt because it's just begun. The best is yet to come with Protocol and this whole thing. And I'm excited what the future is going to bring, and I think it's going to be great. And just to kind of circle back, you mentioned a little bit about the Boutique of the Week thing.
Yes,
so real
please.
Quick, that was actually a pretty important thing to me.
Yes.
So I believe in cigar media. I was always in a company. I might have been the only guy in my company when we had the at the time we had the four partners. I was the only guy that really was chasing cigar media. And it wasn't, they didn't understand it, the other guys, which is okay. They were doing what they were doing. I knew cigar media is the backbone of this industry. So I was chasing you guys. Just like Eric told you, you are doing us a favor. So I would reach out to, and that's how I developed these relationships with guys like Coop, with you, with Malone from they just kind of popped up the what's it called, Blind Man's Puff, the Developing Palace guys. I would hang out with these guys at PCA because I knew how important they were, and I'm also, they are cigar geeks like me, so we're like cigar geeks together, geeking out about cigars. So I would go off and do this stuff, and I knew the importance of it. So now, once I kind of saw that Protocol started to slow down, become sluggish, and there was talks about possibly just letting the brand die altogether before the talks of it being acquired were happening, I was like, what am I going to do to still be in this industry? I love this industry. Like you say, I feed off this. I love talking to people like you, to podcasters, to media outlets, to, more importantly, to the end consumers. I mean, my engagement with the end consumer is pretty high. Guys, there are some consumers that have my personal cell. We talk, hey, what's going on, blah blah blah, blah, or DMing me. We have conversations, and I said I got to stay in this business somehow. So what do I do? So then I decided to transition into cigar media. My first step was becoming the co-host on KMA. I did that for about, I think it was like 10 months, something like that, and did it as much as we can. And then when I left there, I was like, all right, what's going to happen next? And then that's when, Cigar Dojo said, listen, we love what you're doing. You've always been a part of the soul of Cigar Dojo. We think you'd make a great co-host. And it actually started like in April, but the first few shows we didn't officially. It came kind of like a gag, like Juan, what are you doing here again? It was like that. So technically, it was somewhere in the ballpark of April. It kind of happened in April after the PCA. It happened, but it wasn't official until May. But now I'm coming up on a year with them, and I said to myself, I'm on a platform, and I know what this platform could do to brands if utilized well. Listen, I'm gonna be frank, and I like being frank. Sometimes I don't like being warm. I like being frank. That's just me being honest. Like, especially the older I've gotten, my ladies always telling me, like, listen, you talk too much. You tell people your opinion. Like when you hear like old man grumpy, I'm like getting it. I'm like a grumpy old man. I'm being frank. That's just my new thing in life. No more cotton candy. I tell you the truth, and to be frank, and I love being frank. I wanted to use this platform to spotlight. I could have been all about me, but I wanted to use this platform I was on to spotlight people in the boutique, the entire boutique cigar industry. My definition of boutique guys, small guys, one guy, two guys working, trying to build a passion. I lived it. I'm a success story. I showed the industry that you can build brand equity, and guess what? You can be acquired by not only a bigger brand, but maybe more importantly, by a retailer like to the level of Smoke
It's
In
huge.
and Abe to acquire sets a precedence. It shows other boutique cigars brands that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is something called brand equity that, all right, you might not have a million cigars in your storage in inventory, but you have brand equity. Your brand means something. You could 4 or 5 months. You could have Abe in 4 months. Could have an entire stock of Protocol cigars. And what's going to happen? Hopefully, people start buying them and we could start bringing back some of the old stuff. We haven't talked about it yet, but right now the possibilities are endless. And I wanted to give that opportunity, that possibility of their own end game to other boutique brands. So I pitched the idea to Cigar Dojo to do Boutique of the Week. And then Boutique of the Week's 2 minutes, really quick. I show the cigar I'm talking to. I do one of these jammies. I talk about it, talk about the blend, talk about the what I like about it. Quick little history. Again, I only got 2 minutes. But I also try to, when I reach out to these boutique brands, I say part of what I'm doing is I want to give away. I like to give away, and I'm the one, like, they send me the cigars, and then I pay the postage out of my pocket because I believe in what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? It's costing me $70 a month or more, maybe $100 a month to send out stuff out of my own pocket. But I'm doing it because I want to get that product into the end consumer, to that guy watching from Walla Walla, Washington, that would never have tried the Espanola cigar because there's nowhere around him. He doesn't buy stuff online or whatever was going on. Sometimes some brands are not always available online. So I'm trying to put this in the hand of the end consumer so they could try it, they could post it, and that creates an impression. It creates a buzz. It creates a footprint. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show brands and help brands spotlight what they're doing to a broader audience so that they could hopefully get to, have growth.
And I love that, right? Because, and I've said this so many times, Danny Ravanelli is the one that got me into a lot of boutique brands I smoke now. And to be honest with you, I smoke much more of the boutique or craft, as you explained it. I love that fucking definition, by the way. Boutique or craft cigars than I do the massive big brands. And one of the things I'd love to see from you, which I think would be kind of a fun addition to the Lawman series, is to put in a famous person that they captured. So do like a 5 of this, a 5 of Bass Reeves, and have it be like limited edition. Have it do a 5 of Bass Reeves and a 5 of the largest known convict that they caught.
So a perfect example would be the Elliot Ness and then the Al Capone. But Al Capone,
no, you can't use Al Capone. You can't use Al Capone.
But
correct.
That kind of
yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. Vinny here, who is, for anybody that's remotely in smoking, I love Vinny, will know that, you know, he's really big in smoking. Release a specific smoking degenerate release for smoking. So like there's so much that you could do with the Protocol brand that nobody should remotely think like, oh, it's just going to be another house brand, because that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Abe does not do just another fucking house brand. And Abe doesn't do anything half-assed. So moving forward, what do you want to see out of Protocol, and can you share at all a potential next conceptual release?
There are so many. I am full. I was telling you, my strength is the creative process. I have so many ideas. Like I've written ideas, concepts, and everything that we were eventually going to try to release, and we wanted to release such things. So I have stuff, and again, Abe wants to continue future releases within the branding of Protocol. So that Lawman, we're going to have additions to the Lawman series. There's going to be additions to the core line. There's going to be some more limited editions to kind of like give you a sneak peek. Matt Booth and I, for years.
Hold on. Wait. A sneak peek?
Should I
No,
wait
go
for
ahead.
the thing? All right, here it goes. I love it. It's awesome. Breaking news, people. So, since this whole happened, Matt Booth reached out to me to congratulate me. And I said, hey, Matt, maybe we could do that project we were talking about for the last 6, 7, 8 years. We've been talking about this project for a long time, but it's always been like issues up. But I saw him the other day, and I was like, what do you think about we do this with Abe? Because Matt's very close to Abe. I'm in with Abe, and he was like, I think this is the opportunity we were waiting for. And these are the kind of things that are going to happen. There is going to be, I haven't even pitched it to Abe yet. So you're hearing this before even Abe hears the pitch. I got the name of the brand. I got the graphics, everything. Because it's something, I wanted to do with Matt for a long time, and it just never happened. But now this affords me, you, everybody, the industry, an opportunity to do these kind of things. And I think that's going to be something special. It's going to happen now with this Smoking Acquisitions. We're going to do fun, projects like that, fun collaborations that might have never have happened. So you heard it here first, people. Boom.
That's going to be a lot of the fun of what's to come, kind of within this Protocol release. Like we've got a lot more. I wanted to emphasize that because I want people to understand that just because a brand is bought by a retailer does not mean that the brand is going to be a house, quote unquote, blend, right? It might only be available there, but there's still going to be a lot of thought, love, and dedication behind it.
So right now, from what the little bit I got from Abe is not set up to do wholesale distribution. Some places do, but Abe's not there yet. It's something he was thinking about, and there's a possibility that down the road, because we haven't even discussed it, that it could be something where people, instead of they could go and do wholesale stuff with Abe. Right now, he doesn't have that, but it's something that could happen down the road, you know, which is basically a distribution deal.
Correct.
And now you could distribute as well. So for me personally, though, I don't know how this is gonna sound. I'm gonna be frank because I don't care. I don't mind if it stays at Smoke Inn because I live in Florida now. Smoke Inn has the reach it needs locally. They have I believe it's 6 different locations throughout South Florida. Then the reach they have nationally and internationally is
huge,
astronomical. I can now take you to places, and I'm gonna pitch you to buy protocol through Smoke Inn. And the guy that's in California, we never did California because they're a disaster to work with.
Yeah.
Now they can order from Abe, and from California to the east, from west to east, north to south. Now everybody could get their cigars, their protocol cigars at Smoke Inn, and all the stuff we're gonna do, all the limited releases, the LEs, the collaborations. You know, I think the future. I'm excited about the future of this of Smoke Inn acquiring protocol. I think it's a good thing, and like I tell you guys all the time, the ride has just begun. Strap in your seatbelt because
it says a lot too, right? Because for anybody that is watching this show that has never personally interacted with Abe on a business, right? You have a friend interaction with Abe, and then you have a business switch that flips when you're talking business with Abe. And I only can say that because I've called Abe and been like, hey, I need advice. And I feel like I've heard his mind go click. All right, here's the advice part versus I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to be your friend, but I'm going to give you the advice too. The one thing I can say that Abe, in dealing with Abe now, having him have naming rights to the studio that I work in and everything else for the last 4 years, the one thing he doesn't do is he doesn't go into anything without a vision for the future of it. And he also doesn't go in with anything to kill it. He goes in with everything to expand, to grow, and the vision is set. So it's going to be so much fun to see where that comes from.
You hit the nail right on the head. Abe didn't didn't acquire protocol for it to die. Why would he do that?
Doesn't make sense.
What would be doesn't make sense. He wants it to thrive and grow and become bigger and better than it ever was. And I definitely think, you know, he's setting the things because we already have a meeting right after Great Smoke. He goes, I haven't got a chance to bring you in. Like, you know, I've heard him say a few things on some podcasts. I've said a few things, but we haven't even since the ink's not dry on it. We haven't sat down and say a word. We haven't had our first meeting together. And when I hit him with the stuff, and I'm sure he's gonna reel me in because I'm like, my thing is I'm like an artist. He has to reel me in, which is gonna be good. And we are gonna we're gonna get rid of maybe a few SKUs that don't move, you know, and we're gonna streamline everything. And because he's the business guy, I'm the cigar nerd. I'm the guy that is the artist, you know, and he's the business guy. So we have to give each other, and we have to move on things so we could work together and make this grow.
So you had mentioned that there may be a SKU or two going away. Let me preface the question like this. My assumption is it's going to be probably more size driven than actually line driven. Correct?
That's correct. For example, Lanceros.
That hurts because you have one of the greatest fucking Lanceros. The Themis Lancero is
our Lanceros put us on the map.
The Themis.
The Blue Lancero was the Blue Lancero was the first #1 cigar we ever got with Cigar Federation. We got I believe the Themis Lancero got #1 with, or maybe it was the Toro, but I know the Probable Cause Lancero got #1 with Tiny Tim Cigar World. So our Lanceros did do a lot of good for us, but the problem is Lanceros are awesome, but when you talk about the business side of things, do Lanceros sell? And the answer is, unfortunately, no, they do not. The Lanceros buy it, and then the rest just stays there. Out of all the cigars we would have, the ones that would sometimes last in our warehouse for a year and a half, would be Lanceros. They would, people would call us. You got any problem with calls? No. You got Churchill's gone, Robusto's gone. We got Lanceros. Nah, all right, send me a box. It's just Lanceros. Don't business wise.
They don't. I love them. I love Lanceros.
I love
and
Lanceros,
the
but
Themis is one of the best Connecticut Lanceros, in my opinion, that you can have. I mean, it's that I'm a Lancero whore. So that hurts to hear that, but I also understand.
Right, because it's about, he's the business guy. He's the one that's gonna make the hard decisions. Right? We got a line. Let's take just take Themis. Themis is actually our best selling line. So you got the Themis best selling line. Then you're gonna go within that line. You have 4 SKUs. We got a Toro, we got the Corona Gordo, we got the Robusto, then we got the Lancero. 4 SKUs. If you had to pick, let's say we got to pick 2. What now? The business aspect of it is we gonna stay with one. Listen, the bottom line is Toro is the industry standard.
It is.
Ball down the middle, Toro makes everybody happy. Is it a smart business move to streamline everything to Toros? Maybe Robustos? Because then after Toro and Robustos, everything else started. You know, what you're smoking there?
The bass.
Oh yeah, what you were smoking there? I love the Corona Gordo. It is at a 7 3/4 by 48, big, but people, it intimidates people. It's a hard sell.
It is.
So when I did the crime scene unit, I did a short Corona Gordo at a 6.5. Listen, I love traditional Cuban sizes Corona Gordos. They're big, they're great. They're not a big ring gauge. That's my favorite size, but I know they don't sell. So when we were doing it, we did whatever we wanted to do because we were the owners and we didn't care if it didn't sell, but we wanted to offer that to the cigar nerd. But now Abe is the business mind. He's gonna be, let's streamline the lines, streamline the brands, and maybe get rid of maybe the two weakest sizes. And unfortunately, Lancero is gonna be the one in every.
Okay, so when you were on KMA, I forgot what episode it was and how long into you being on, but you did a Lancero special for, I think it was the Themis, right? Wasn't it the Themis?
Yes.
I bought 2 boxes of them. Like I regret not buying more. I'm
gonna be honest.
The Lancero.
Want to hear the let's be frank.
All right, Frank.
So, I'm sitting on all this Lancero again. Our number one seller, Themis, in our least popular or least powerful size. It was the Lancero. I'm sitting on, one day we have like 100 boxes. It's not moving. We're trying to do deals with our brick and mortars. We'll take these and do a promo. Nah, Lanceros just don't sell. Lanceros don't. Abe has a buy power. He could be like, all right, fine. He took them and he did that promo, which was great because a lot of people got onto that because he put it at a really good. It was
$65 for 10. Are you fucking serious?
We moved those. It went because of the price, but the real price of a Lancero is $14. It's not $6.
No, it's not.
So we did that. That's a special promo to move that line. And it's unfortunate. Again, it's a great cigar, but it's not the industry standard. People just don't like Lanceros the way I think they should. And
so how long have you been smoking cigars? 30 years or more?
I'm gonna say my 20s.
How old are you now? How old are you now?
50. So like at least minimum 30 years. I've been smoking 30 years.
When, in your opinion, because I've always been told, never looked it up to be sure, but I've always been told that Panatellas, Lanceros were the original size cigars, were the kind of the Cuban, the larger ring gauges didn't really come around until the 90s. When, in your opinion, as somebody that's been smoking as long as you have and have lots of friends in this industry, when, in your opinion, did the Lancero take a back seat in the sense of like,
Okay, I got it.
I'm not getting
Ready?
my dollar?
I'm gonna quote. I'm gonna quote a great song. Video killed the radio star. Right? Remember that
Oh yeah,
song?
MTV.
Video killed
Oh
the
yeah,
radio star. 6x60s killed Lancero.
really?
Is what happened.
So that was about 10
Once,
years
in
ago.
my
That was about
opinion,
10 years ago.
in my opinion, the bigger ring gauge. Because look what we're doing now. Now we got 90, not 10 by 90s.
Well, 10 by 100.
Selling 10 by 100s. They're going to that, and it's kind of the American consumer mindset. Let me break it down a little bit. So when you get a Lancero, you look at Lancero. It looks kind of like a cigarette,
Yeah.
right? A long cigarette. You look at a Lancero, and you look at that, and that thing costs, let's say, $12. Now you take a 6x60, 7x70. The same cigar now costs $8. When you look at the price and then you weigh it, let's say a Lancero, I'm not done the weight, but let's say for argument's sake, it weighs 10 grams. You're paying $1 a gram.
Correct.
Now you do a 6x60, that thing is 22 grams. It's bigger and you're paying less. So when you look at it, the American mind frame consumer is bang for your buck. The bigger, the better. The more bang for the buck, the more you get for your. You want to get more, right? In reality, with a Lancero, less is
Correct.
more because you're tasting more of wrapper and the binder. The wrapper and binder ratio is less compared to the wrapper and binder ratio. You're tasting more of the filler with a big one, and you're tasting more of the wrapper binder in a Lancero. But also with that, so there's less tobacco in there, yes, and it takes a seasoned roller to make Lanceros, and they're slower to make. So guess what? That all translates into that product costing more. So when you take it and you give it to the American market, they see a cigar, right? Look at this cigar for $14, like my finger, and you got this massive drumstick for $8. Where's more bang for your buck? And the American market says the bang for the buck is with the big ring
To that
gauges.
point, though, you will buy a craft beer. The market will buy a craft beer in a 4-pack for $16 to $20 a 4-pack because of the quality of that beer. Where in the cigar community did we lose the understanding of the quality of a Lancero? Does that make sense?
I think yes, it does. It's a great question, and I think it's multifaceted answers because not only you got the American mentality of the more bang for your buck with a bigger cigar, but it's also, I hate to say it, how it looks in your hand. Think about if you're a lot of cigar guys, they're not thin guys, they're big bulky guys. You got let's say a big 6-foot guy, 350 pounds, smoking a Lancero. A lot of people's like, this doesn't look right. But when you have a 6x60, it does feel better in your hand. It looks more of a big, dish on it. It's the whole. Now, on a cigar nerd, we're talking specifically cigar nerds. Every cigar nerd knows that Lancero, you're gonna get a better flavor. You're gonna get more. You're gonna pick up more of the flavor of the wrapper and the binder. It's more elegant and it's and fine. But those guys are the average guy doesn't think about that. They think about bang for your buck and how it looks in your hand. I just talk to people like when I was selling, I got this in a Lancero. No, I don't like Lancero. It looks flimsy in my hand. I look like a girl. It looks like I'm smoking a Virginia Slim. It looks like I'm smoking a cigarette or one of those sticks. And they're all valid.
They're very valid.
And that's why they're valid points. I'm not saying the guy's talking out of his ass. They're valid points. Not a lot of people can say, I don't care how this looks, how this makes me feel. I'm going to smoke because I enjoy it. There are those, and those are the guys that would buy it. But when you talk about mainstream, and the bottom line here, we're selling a product. We want to sell to everybody. We want to sell out. And a Lancero is just, that just doesn't happen with Lanceros, unfortunately.
So as you're going through with Dojo, I want to kind of end the show here on Dojo. I love the Dojo guys, Eric, Jordan. They're just fantastic people. Good friends of the show, and absolutely love them. If you guys don't watch Cigar Dojo, I don't know why. Definitely check them out if you have never checked them out. I doubt that's the case. What When they approached you to come on Dojo, what made you say yes to Dojo?
So I actually am very good friends with
Hmm.
Eric, Jordan. Love their family. I've always been friends. Out of all the people in the industry, I always used to tell Eric, like, listen, I wish I could hang out with you more. You know, we saw each other at PCA, but we were constantly talking. Listen, I'll let you in on something. There was even a time when Eric was talking about acquiring Protocol himself.
Really?
And yeah,
Wow.
there was talk. He loved the brand. He loved me, and he wanted to be. He saw kind of we were like stagnant a little bit, not going anywhere, and he believed in it. And he approached me, and he talked about it a little bit, and we. It was just never went more than just a conversation, but still, there was always been something there with Eric. So Protocol and Dojo are the intellectual properties of Juan Cancel and Erica Torsmanson, right? But the two people, we love each other. We're good friends. We've always had a respect for each other. We made each other laugh. Just good times. I never had a bad day with Eric at any point in my now going on 14 years of dealing with him, because I've only been dealing with him. And I was active on Dojo, so back then it was
You were the first
grassroots
correspondent on
stuff.
Dojo, technically.
Yeah, exactly. So we were there. We became friends, and when he asked me, it was such a natural thing, such a natural move. It was like it wasn't even. It was more of what took you so long. But I get it, because when I was if he had done it when the protocol was at his height, he might think, "Oh, listen, how I can't be biased with other brands, you know." And now the protocols, I actually asked him, I want to start doing cigar reviews, not a lot, maybe 2 or 3 a year. He goes, "No, I can't have you doing a cigar review because you own protocol. It might seem you're biased and whatever." So we just, all right, man, no problem. But now the
I
protocol's
was gonna
gone. I
say
don't
you
own it
don't own it.
anymore.
You're a great person to do reviews.
Yeah. I'm working. I got the green light. I just got to find the my first review to do.
I
But anyway, so like I said, so when he asked me to do it, there was no hesitation. It was more of what took you so long, and I understood what took him so long. I think it was the right moment. Listen, I believe there is no coincidence. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. If that didn't happen, if I didn't join Dojo at that time, you know, I still a bit strong with protocol, and people would have been like, well, it doesn't feel right. But now protocol had already been dormant for like maybe a year or two. We had little releases, but they were like small little. And then Abe got the crime scene, so that was really more of nothing. The one before that was 2 years ago for the Phoebe
mm-hmm,
Cousins, and that was such a we I think the first initial was 200 boxes of the natural,
mm-hmm.
200 boxes of the Maduro, and they sold out like that. And then we never re-upped. We never got another production run and just stayed there. And and then pretty much for all intent and purposes, Protocol was pretty much a dormant brand. It still had a lot of. When you look at Cigar Dojo, we have like 24 24,500 check-ins. So people are still, even though it might have been dormant for 2 years, people are still checking into Protocol, getting Protocol brand badges, because the brand itself, it was more than just a cigar. I think it was something special. It was magic. It was a brand, yes, but it was more than just a cigar. It was like a
It was
movement.
in the
People.
know. It was, if you know the
Yeah.
brand, you love the brand. That's what it was. It was
Right.
it, a lot of boutique cigars, Protocol being one of them. And again, I'm not biased. I'm very biased. I tried to rep for you guys for a short time. It's very,
I
very,
remember
very
that.
hard. I commend everybody that actually reps cigars. I'm a fanboy. And I've been for a very long time. I love the fact that the cigar is what it is. But what I'm really curious about is moving forward, I think you're the perfect person to review boutique cigars. I think you and Danny Ravanelli would be probably one of the best because there's no real lying in you at all. There's no bloviating. Like you're brutally honest to the point where like you don't give a fuck.
Right.
And I
It's
and
a
I love
fault,
that. And I love that
almost.
about you. I want you to tell everybody here really quick as the boutique segment grows on Dojo, because it absolutely will. What are the criteria that you're using to make your judgments?
So, what I feel kind of happened with Dojo, and it's nothing bad. It's very natural, actually. So, when Cigar Dojo started, they were boutique. 14 years ago, they were boutique. They were a boutique media outlet. They were looking for anybody, and again, perfect timing. Everything happens at the right amount, at the right exact time. So I was part of them. I launched my brand. I'm boutique. They had nobody else really approaching them, so I was already part of them. Protocol. I will tell everybody that the success of Protocol was fundamentally because of Cigar Dojo. And I believe vice versa, Cigar Dojo's rise, also, we fed off each
Mhm.
other.
Taser,
They
Taser,
helped me.
Taser, I feel
Yeah.
was a huge turning point for you guys as a brand.
Yeah. We had actually four releases with them. We had the K9,
Yep, yep,
we had the Nightstick, we had the Taser, and then we had the 10-year to mark their 10-year
yep.
anniversary. So that's four collaborations we did, dojo collaborations. All of them sold out. All of them were amazing, phenomenal cigars, great. But I definitely think that dojo helped Protocol grow.
I am a
And I
fanboy.
know
I am a fanboy.
it is.
I'm
Listen,
telling you.
that is now. That is 2 years. That is actually 2 years old. No, how wait? Is it?
No,
They,
2 years,
that's
like
actually
3
going
years,
on.
almost 3 years.
2 years old. So,
Yeah.
almost 3 years. So that cigar is delicious. Eric worked on it. It's great. So it's just I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing than being now. And it's been a really weird path. Went from cigar consumer to brand owner to now media. A lot of times you see people go from cigar consumer to media, then maybe, it was been a very unique path. The only thing I didn't do is retail and work as a sales manager for a company. But I got the manufacturer side to kind of deal with retailers. So I think I've been blessed to have a very rounded and well-versed education in the cigar industry. And I think going to Cigar Dojo is a very organic and it's the right move. I think I don't think I'm definitely never going to go. Don't ever say never, but I'm about 99.9% positive that I will never have another brand. I'm going to stay the brand ambassador for Protocol probably until I die, and I want to see it grow beyond me. I would love for me to, whenever I die, 20 years later, protocols are still being sold at Smoke Inn. Whoever buys Abe out, if STG buys Abe out to this somebody, and like you see sometimes, hopefully it stays in that, and 40 years later, Protocol might still be around now, and that makes me very happy, and I'm very excited. And I'm very excited about what the future holds with Cigar Dojo, with Protocol, with Smoke In, and everything. And I'm gonna continue being me, and hopefully I continue doing and entertaining, because I also believe I always like when I'm reaching out to boutique guys. So when I'm looking for when I do my kind of we went off a tangent, but going back to the question, how do I pick the boutique cigar? So for my boutique of the week, I look at I go through Instagram, I go through Facebook. I try to get guys I've never heard of. I think I pretty much have my ear to the ground and listening to things. So if I see a brand that I've never heard of, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'll reach out. I send you a proposal. Now, don't get me wrong. 90% of the people are very happy to hear from me. I have gotten one or two guys that say, "Oh, you're asking me for free cigars, and you're basically you're giving me a cut and paste email. I don't need
Oh,
you.
fuck
I've been
off.
around this business for
Get
a
out of
while, and Dojo, you're just reaching out to me now. Why are you reaching out to me now?" I'm like, and I tell them, I'm like, listen, and to kind of bring it all back, Dojo has kind of gone more mainstream because they've grown.
Yeah.
They're no longer boutique media. They are more mainstream media. I tell people all the time, I think Cigar Dojo is the top three in the top three of online cigar media. I'm not going to say to any specific order, but
I would
in
agree.
my opinion, and just me, it's going to be Half Wheel, Coop, and Cigar
Yep.
Dojo. And what really puts Cigar Dojo above and beyond and everybody and makes them pound for pound the best media outlet out there is their level of consumer engagement, their shows. So they're not only cigar news, cigar ratings, cigar, they're also what I call cigar entertainment. That you have, this show is also, you said it, you may not, and I was going to tell you when you said you're more cigar entertainment, but it's also part of
Oh,
cigar
for sure.
media.
For sure.
You need that. You need cigar entertainment. You need to have, and when you watch the average show on Cigar Dojo, is not Rapper Binder.
It's
Philip
not.
Talk. It's a lot of, it's let's do a S tier on the best hamburger joints. You know, it's entertaining. And then with the badges, the people getting badges for posting Dominican cigars, Robusto cigars, all these badges they get just for it creates a reward for your engagement. And what that does, it makes people engage it more. So the people on Dojo, they're all not just kind of reading articles. They're in there posting stuff. They're in there trying to get brand badges. And I pitch my biggest pitch to brands, especially boutique guys, is get a brand badge, because there are people out there that once they launch a new brand badge, they go out there and they go out there. I need to find this cigar because I want to get this brand badge, and it just increases growth, impressions, brand accessibility, brand recognition, brand exposure, impression. It's just good. So I'm a big fan of media, and I'm going to continue to help steer. I know Cigar Dojo is more mainstream now. They deal a lot with the bigger brands. They've kind of gotten away from boutiques, but bringing me in, I'm going to steer them
And that's
back
great.
as much as I can.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
Because somebody like you could shine a spotlight on the lower 50% of brands that, and I say lower, I say lower as in sales, not quality at all. I actually attribute, and I've said this so many times on the show, I attribute boutique is in the equivalency of college to professional. Professional kind of doesn't have the heart.
I love that analogy.
College has the heart. They want to win. And I often attribute it to cigar brands can give you better cigars sometimes, or often more times, depending on your palate, than some of the bigger brands, because there's more heart, there's more sacrifice, there's more life on the line, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so I have two questions to ask you to end the show here.
Okay.
One, I want to know what you want the cigar industry to think of Juan Cancel after he's gone. And two, well, answer one and then I'll ask two.
Okay. I die 20 years from now, 40 years from now, I hope that people are still talking about what my contribution was. And I believe my contribution is going to be the spotlighting of the boutique industry. And also, I believe that this acquisition has more of a ramification to the cigar industry as a whole than maybe people right now can see. But because I'm in it, kind of looking at it, I think what it's done is it has set a precedence to show people, especially small boutique owners, that there is a possibility of brand equity. That you build something so amazing, a brand. Maybe you don't have those cigars because you sold them all out, but somebody might want to buy your intellectual property. You might not have the business structure, the infrastructure to make it in this business. But if you put your heart and soul and passion
Mhm.
into something, you build something. So if anything, if nonetheless, at least I've given somebody out there hope that, wow, if this guy Juan's done it, that means there might be hope for me down the line. And I'm also trying to help guys do the things because I didn't have that playbook. I did things that I thought were right that I'm seeing a lot of boutique guys are not doing, like sending press
Mhm.
releases, like sending samples to media outlets for reviews, considerations for reviews and ratings, little things like that. The guys being active. I've said it from I've been doing social media now going on 20
Mhm.
years. Social media, it's not really free because you don't pay for it, but it's so time consuming. But now today in today's world, that you can hire somebody with a social media degree that will run your social media. Yes, that's great, but what I think that's lacking is the authenticity of a principal. I'm the principal of my brand. I am I believe my brand has grown beyond protocol. It is now, I don't know what to call it, but it's there's facets of it. Now my brand is bleeding into Cigar Dojo, and I'm trying my best to make them better because no matter how good you get, you can always be better. That's been my philosophy. So I'm always striving to be better. Same thing with protocol. Now that Abe and Smokin has acquired protocol could grow and become better than what they've ever been. Dojo can become better than what they've ever been by now spotlighting boutique
I
brands. Now
agree. I'm so glad.
you got your Rafael Nadals. Yes, you got your Rafael Nadal. You got your Steve Saka. You got all those guys. You got your Terrence Riley on there all the time. But every once in a blue, bring a guy like Fermin Perez on. He's an up and coming.
Or
Bring
Antoine.
Daniel
Antoine
Land.
from Espanola.
Yeah, bring Anto on. These are the guys that I'm trying to eventually get them on where we're gonna have boutique guys back on, and not just the success stories. Because it's easy to say I want Matt Booth, Steve Saka, Nick Melillo, Rocky Patel. I want Pete Johnson. That's easy. You're gonna get viewers, right? But it's hard to say let's throw in a boutique guy in there, up and coming boutique guy like Nick from El Mago,
Yep.
or the guys from Apostate, or the guys Fermin Perez, or Domain,
Yep.
or any one of those other guys. And I think it helps. I did a great article, and listen, they're giving me the tools I need. They're giving me the power to make them. They probably don't realize it, but I'm making them a more rounded media outlet because I just came out with my first ever published article. I did the 5 top boutique brands to watch in 2026. What I did, I'm just talking about. I know Fermin. I forget the order. It was Fermin Perez cigars. It was Apostate. It was Avowed. Of those guys are doing some great stuff.
Super good.
It was Domain, and I think I'm missing some. Why would I didn't. Anyway, but I just picked guys that because I'm watching now more than ever the boutique landscape, the boutique game, the playing field. Very different than the mainstream guys. The mainstream guys, nobody looks at boutique, but in the boutique world, it's its own playing field. And I'm watching and I'm trying to help. So by doing my weekly boutique of the week, somebody told me you're not going to be able to get 52 boutiques in a year. Why are you doing that? It makes no sense. I am now booked until July with companies boutiques of the weeks where so there is something. It's growing. I think it's going to be in a year from now. I'd love to be on here and talk about how boutique of the week has grown. If I'm able to have 52 companies in a week, and what's to say, maybe boutique of the week is not something that's going to last to perpetuity, but for right now, it's working. It's doing well. And when I get DMs from people that I watch the show and says, "Wow, I never heard of this brand. Thank you for letting me know about them. I'm going to look into them." And that's why I'm doing it. And it's paying off. And I'm very happy. And I want it to continue. So I guess to kind of circle back and answer your question, I want to be known as a champion of the boutique cigar industry. Let's call it that. He was a champion for the boutique cigar.
See, I love that. Apostate, I love that brand. And I will say it here on the show. I've said it numerous times. if anybody ever is nervous about trying a Candela, the Feathered Serpent is by far the best Candela you will ever try. It beats out the Holy Lancer by a couple of points for me. Um, it's absolutely fantastic. And being the fact that Apostate got teamed up with James Brown is just blows them up in my opinion. So I love the
Yep.
fact that Dojo brought you on and you conceptually understand that boutique is where it needs to go, right? Because when Saka's gone, when Fuente's gone, like these brands might not be what they are, right? Because there are
Yeah, I say
brands.
it. I'm looking for tomorrow's legacy
Correct,
brands
correct. Because there
today.
are brands that when the brand owner is gone, the brand is just gone. Because so much
Right.
of the brand was in the trust of the brand owner. So here to end the question of the
Correct.
night, I know you're a God-fearing man. Um,
Yes.
I stole this question. I asked this question literally to everybody. I don't think I've ever asked it to you because the only couple times I've had you on is with Kevin. So now that I have you on privately, I stole this from James Lipton inside the Actor Studio. When you see your creator, whoever that might be, one day, what do you want to hear?
What I don't want to hear. You want to hear something? This is where I am in my life with God. I don't want to hear anything. I want him to hear me. And all I simply want to say is thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you for everything you've given me in my life, the bad, the good. It was all for a reason because it's your will. It's not mine. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I've since submitting my life to God's will, I think things have been going really great for me. And I all I want to do is be a vessel, a tool of his love and his light. Um, Really quick, I'm doing something that just organically started this Thanksgiving. I wanted to work at a soup kitchen, but I couldn't find one. I reached out to a few, nobody. All I wanted to do, I wanted to give up my Thanksgiving and I wanted to serve the homeless, the hungry. And I couldn't find anybody in the Fort Lauderdale area. I reached out to a few and got nothing. And what I did was I was so compelled. The Holy Spirit was still compelling me. Like, Juan, you're not going to be able to give people the soup kitchen thing. What else can you do? You know what I did? I cooked enough for 20 people. I made some. I made a traditional Puerto Rican Thanksgiving meal. I made rice and gandules, pernil, and I believe it was string beans. I gave them some sort of vegetable. I went out and I bought 23 shaped containers. I filled them up with that. I went to get a big birthday cake. Put a piece of cake in there. Put toothpicks, napkins, fork, knives, everything, little handy wipes. I drove around Fort Lauderdale. It took me almost 2 hours, and I just asked God to guide me to whoever you want me to feed, and I fed 20 people.
Amazing.
That started with one day. That started me doing it Christmas Day. Now I've decided to do it every third Sunday, and coming up the day after the Great Smoke is my fifth time doing it, and I love doing that. I feel what the best part of that is sometimes I give the food to somebody, they won't even tell me thank you. They'll tell me, "Oh my God, thank you very much." And then they'll look at me and said, "Just 30 seconds ago, I asked God, God, I'm hungry. Please, if there's anything, if you could please, bless me with a meal." And then you just drove up and gave me this meal. So for that moment, I was a vessel of God where I answered this person's prayer at that moment. It's not about me. It's not about food. It's about showing this person that God has not forsaken this person, that God still loves this person. And I am a vessel of that. So when I die and meet my creator, he doesn't have to say anything to me. I don't even have to hear his voice. All I want to do is tell him, thank you. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for allowing me, you finding me worthy enough to help others in life to do better and at least just give them their daily bread for that one day. And I would just tell him thank you. He doesn't have to say a word to me.
Well, everyone, that was probably one of the most humbling answers I've ever gotten to that question. Anybody watching the show do yourself a favor. Jump on smoking.com and order a 5-pack, a box. I will tell you right now, as somebody that has actively smoked through the entire line, including buying from Omerta to smoke through your line, because you had some exclusive releases with them.
Yeah.
I will tell you, they are box worthy in every way.
Thank you very
Juan
much.
comes through with his cigars as passionately as he comes through in person, which is why I love having Juan on, because there's no lying in Juan, and he's got nothing to gain by pulling the wool over people's eyes. So I strongly recommend, if you don't watch Cigar Dojo, watch them every single Friday. Watch them for Juan. Watch them for the Boutique Corner. Watch Cigar Dojo. Without Cigar Dojo, without Cigar Authority, without KMA, without shows like that, my show would not remotely exist. And I understand that. So, Juan, from the deepest part of my heart, I love you, brother. And I am so fucking excited to buy you a drink next week. Because I'm just saying, the last time I met you,
I'm a cheap date because I gave up drinking, so you're just gonna buy me a Coke.
well,
Zero.
that's
We'll be
fine.
good.
The last time I met you, it was in and out because you were busy, and I got a hug out of you, and that was it. This time, I'm gonna give you a Matt Booth reach around and a kiss on the cheek, brother. For anybody that knows Matt Booth, you totally understand. So, from the bottom of my heart, Juan, thank you so much for coming on. I want you on every single year, at least twice a year, to talk about your boutique corner. I love that aspect. I think that is going to be one of the fastest growing segments within Dojo, personally, and the fact that you're doing it is just picture perfect. So, Juan, from the bottom of my heart, as a fanboy of the brand and as somebody that's allowed to call you as a friend, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for all you do. And for anybody watching, thank you so much for watching the show tonight. Smoke what you like. Buy as much fucking Protocol cigars as you can, because you won't be fucking disappointed. And have a great rest of your week. We'll see you all at TGS next week, everyone. Take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.